Welcome to How to Be a Humane Leader Without Losing Your Job. Dive deep into humane leadership crafted for today's fast-paced business world. Listen to our podcast on all major streaming platforms and join us as we explore the essence of humane leadership in today's dynamic business landscape. I'm Chris Hollerking, a Fortune 100 IT leader, alongside Roberto Torres, a seasoned startup engineering leader. Today, we will discuss how to seek honest feedback about your humane leadership performance from coworkers, family, and friends. Hey, Roberto, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you very much. How about you?
Good, good. It's good to be back from a short holiday and have some energy for today's podcast.
Great, man. Awesome. I trust that you had an amazing vacation.
Absolutely. It's all vacations are good vacations.
Right, man.
So getting feedback, I'll tell you, this is something that a lot of people struggle with because you never know if the other person's truly being honest. You never know, if you have a performance review, your boss is doing your performance review. In general, your boss will be relatively honest with you, but the feedback that they seek from others as they develop your performance review may not always be so genuine, right? Maybe somebody is trying to get your job. Maybe somebody just doesn't like you, so they make up some feedback that's not really honest. So it's important as a humane leader to evaluate these sources and make sure that they're hearing what they need to hear. As a humane leader, you don't want to just hear great things. Roberto, you're awesome. You don't need to change anything you're doing. You are the perfect humane leader. If you heard that even from me, one of your good friends, you should say, maybe that's not 100% honest.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, many people who are very fond of you will sugarcoat some stuff to you, or maybe 100%. Maybe your family, you will say, hey, what did I do wrong? What did I do bad? And they won't tell you because the thing about the people that we care about, that we love, is that we don't want them to be hurt. So they won't tell you what you really require to listen, not to hear, to listen. So I think it's difficult for people to do that. And I'm not an outsider of this. When I don't know, maybe my son or someone that I that I take care of ask me for this, my heart goes like this, and I usually cannot do it. But if they truly ask me, no, please give me some real feedback because I have this problem with either this behavior, this person, or this situation, please give me. What I will do is to be fair and biased to give it.
Yeah, well, and you said a key thing is the humane leader needs to make sure that they're saying they're ready to hear that truly honest feedback. So you have to do a self-assessment and really say, I want you, Roberto, to be really honest with me, and I won't take it personally. I won't hold it against you. You have to have that heart-to-heart discussion to ensure that the other person, whether it's a coworker, it's family, it's friends, whatever, to make sure that they really feel comfortable that they can be that honest. If you just kind of casually say, hey, I'd like some feedback on my performance, you will probably get the generic, hey, Roberto, your presentation's pretty good. Sometimes you say and a lot, but you do a really great job. Okay, that doesn't help me improve. That's not anything specific. Maybe it's I say a lot. Well, then honestly, you should say that a lot to them for feedback. You're
Yeah.
saying be honest with them. Say, hey, every time you say I counted in your presentation you did it 17 times. Well, gosh, that's really not good.
Yeah. One thing is when we are someone and we are watching them and they are watching us, it's really difficult because they feel some pressure about it. They feel compelled to say something, and maybe that pressure won't allow them to express their ideas or feelings, etc. So maybe a solution is something that I did way ago with a customer of mine who I was coaching. And what I did with him was to, with all his peers, his managers, and his reports, I sent a survey, but this survey was anonymous. And because it was anonymous and it had many questions with different options and very few open questions, I gather all this information, and I told my at that case at that time, excuse me, my customer, I say, okay, you have all these strengths because people see you, your peers, your reports, your managers, etc. But you have also these opportunities, areas, or these weaknesses in which you have to work. And for that, I put on the answers to those open questions. And that was true feedback because he wasn't neither aware nor uh, he was shocked because of these all these answers, because he thought as himself differently. So that could be a tool to provide honest feedback.
Yeah, as long as you get enough people, right? You got to be
Yeah.
somewhat careful about how you do it. If you do, we use tools where I work that would allow you to seek out this kind of feedback, but the survey would not give you results unless a certain number of people responded. You know, I don't recall the number exactly, but I want to say it was something like 15, maybe it was as many as 20 required. So in other words, it didn't want to risk, if only two people gave feedback, you might be able to figure out who it is, right? So you
Yeah.
always had to ask a lot of people to get this feedback. And again, the humane leader needs to be ready to hear it. Doesn't always mean you're going to say it's 100% accurate, but the feedback is always accurate from that other person's perspective. So in other words, if someone tells me, hey, Chris, I don't care for your public speaking style because of this and that, I may choose to disagree with it, but that is that person's honest feedback. And as a humane leader, you should consider it, ponder it. Why does that person feel that way, that this feedback is important? You may disagree with it, but you should think about, why does that person say that? Why do they feel that way? And do I need to modify something to try and appeal to the wider audience, the bigger team? You know, let's say I'm working towards a promotion and I get some feedback from 25% of the people about some behaviors that I'm doing, and I may completely disagree with it. Okay, but the feedback that they're giving, even if they hate you, right, it is feedback that you could say, you know, I need to consider this in my leadership journey as a humane leader, because they may hate me and I may not be able to make them like me, but all feedback from their perspective is accurate. And so why do they feel that way? Why do they think that's important for me to hear that feedback? And what can I do differently to try and just do a better job? Doesn't mean I'm going to change my approach to things as a humane leader significantly, but I always felt that every bit of feedback is always accurate from that person's perspective. And that allowed me as the humane leader to accept that feedback without feeling bad, you know, without feeling bad about myself or my performance. Okay, I'm going to take that as an opinion that maybe I disagree with, but I want to hear it so that I might become a better leader.
True. Oh, yeah, true. Because usually when we provide feedback, and depending on the person that we are talking to, we don't want them to hurt their feelings. So in this case, since we are receiving feedback, we should and we must, excuse me, have active listening to everything someone is telling us. Because if not, maybe we will be thinking something else our head. Oh, this guy hates me. Why? It is telling me something like that when we have an amazing relationship. No, be biased, have active listen. And the most important thing, after you gather all this information, act accordingly. And when I mean act accordingly is, okay, I have seen that maybe the most people have told me that I have a problem because I get upset this easily. Okay, what can I do? Is it something that I could do by myself, or should I look for a mentor who could help me with this, or should I go with I don't know, maybe therapy to overcome this? In the end, if people are providing you with honest feedback, do something about it. Don't make it uh, as something that you have to do every 6 months. Do something about it, because when someone provides you with honest feedback, is for you to overcome problems and to evolve.
Absolutely. Take that time to reflect on what you heard. And
Yeah.
I thought of one very mechanical thing. Again, our company had this big automated survey tool that probably cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the other thing that you can do when you sit down with people that are very mechanical, don't surprise them. In other words, don't call Roberto and suddenly say, "Hey, Roberto, I'd like you to give me some performance on my feedback." And be brutally honest. And out of the blue, Roberto's got to try and come up with, well, what should I tell Chris? Give him some warning. Say, look, in a few days, I'd like to take, maybe it's 15, 20 minutes only, right? So that they don't have awkward pauses. I'd just like to take 15 minutes and just talk about some real honest improvements in, and pick some area. It's often helpful when you're trying to get feedback on your own performance, is pick something that you think, might be an area where that person will have some good feedback. So as an example, I'm going to say, "Hey, Roberto, I've been doing some video conference calls and you've been on some of them with me. I'd really like to hear from you some honest feedback about how I present, how I look on camera. Do you think I'm believable? But, I'd really like to talk to you about it for 15 or 20 minutes or so in a few days. Can I put something on our calendar for next Tuesday?" Now, Roberto is going to have time to say, okay, he wants some feedback about this specific thing that Chris is doing. I've seen him and I've been with him on camera in meetings, on Teams or on Skype or whatever tool you're using. I will think about those things, and maybe there'll even be a couple of calls where we're on them together, and I will think about how I want to give Chris some honest feedback about doing a better video call. Maybe Chris uses his hands too much on the screen and it's distracting. Or maybe Chris is constantly looking down and saying and talking and clearly distracted because he's got his phone up and doing something else. It could be simple things like that, or it could be something that's really sensitive. Like, Chris, you usually show up in your pajamas on the call. It doesn't look very professional. And you have all this stuff in the background. It's very distracting. You may really like the picture of the ocean, but all I keep doing is watching people walk by, and it's very distracting. So even though you love that and it reminds you of your holiday that you went on with your wife, it's really distracting. You should use a professional background. And now, because I've given you some time to think about it, you get an opportunity to reflect and give the humane leader truly honest feedback.
It is. You mentioned one key factor. When you are remote, you have to think as you were in the same room with this person, because you will look at them and you will try, you have to be really aware of everything and look directly to the eyes, because you mentioned all these distractors that we have remotely are something that we take for granted. And when you give a feedback and you receive it, you have to be, if it's not 100%, you have to be really close to that 100% to be really aware of what is going on, because someone is providing a feedback and you have to receive it. If there is a fracture within the communication, it won't provide the message, it won't convey the purpose of this. So it's really, really important. And you mentioned something, and that happens if I can open a parenthesis over here. When we talk, and I don't mean you and I, but when we talk remotely with someone else and it's something related to work, I usually, what I do is to have an open camera. And when I do that, it's my whole attention to that, because when I connect and someone doesn't turn on the camera and has it off, I don't know what they're doing. Are they paying attention to me? Are they not? Are they doing something? It's something that it feels frustration sometimes. So closing that parenthesis, going and having the camera on and not having distractions is something that helps this valued and honest feedback. And that is the first thing that I wanted to tell you. The second one, it is when you are talking honest feedback or any feedback, you must be only one-on-one. You have to be either, if you're in the same room, there's no other people that has to be in that room, because there will be ears listening to that, or you won't feel totally comfortable either listening or receiving that feedback. And if it's not possible, go to somewhere else where you could talk, not in a hallway where people pass on, but maybe reserve a specific meeting room or something, in order for everybody to really, really listen and to apply active listening.
Without a doubt. And I did think of one other kind of mechanical thing about feedback, and that is if you have a fairly small team, meaning, I don't know, maybe 6 people that report to you directly, you need to be very careful about seeking feedback directly from them, because just be aware that they will realize that, look, there's just 6 of us giving feedback on Roberto. He's probably going to know which one of us said which thing. So you should still seek feedback, be open to it, listen to it, be an active listener, like you said, but also realize that if it's a very small team, they're not going to be what I would call brutally honest. In other words, if there is something that's really bothering them, they might be concerned about giving that feedback if they feel it might impact their career. Like, hey, if I tell Roberto that he's talking with his hands all the time and I don't like how he gets all excited about stuff, he needs to calmly tell us what to do. Maybe you'll be offended by that and I'll get a bad performance review. So maybe I won't tell you. And even though it's really annoying and distracting to me and I lose my efficiency because you're talking with your hands all the time, I'm not going to tell you. So sometimes, feedback is always good. You should always seek it, but also realize that depending on the context, if, again, small team, probably not going to get the brutally honest feedback that you really need. So, you might have to expand it and include the feedback that is from those a small amount of team workers, also with your coworkers, et cetera, so that you get a large enough pool of people to tell you things.
Yeah, one thing is instead of brutal words, use powerful words. Powerful words will have a change. The one who is listening to those, instead of maybe saying, I don't like how you behave with a customer, and you give I don't know, a phrase related to that. Maybe you could say, imagine that you are a customer and someone treats you this way. How do you feel? So that powerful word, what we will do is, or phrase, what we will do is, in my mind, oh, well, I like being a customer, and I like to be treated fairly. And from there, you could provide this feedback without someone getting hurt at the feelings, and make them, not make them, allow them to evolve so they could have this retrospection, but don't end there. Always try to stretch that in the case of having a full conversation. And with that in mind, people might change. And let me tell you something else. What I usually do when I hire someone else, excuse me, a candidate, what I do is to set up meetings at 1 month, one day where the first day of work, second and third month. And what we do is to watch out what happened during those months, the first, the second, and the third. And then I will do either a quarter or 2 quarters meeting with specific data, because the third ones were kind of hard data and what I felt and what I have seen. And from there in mind, they know that there will be certain meetings during certain times, and they will be prepared because they know how do I treat these feedback sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. Completely agree.
Great, man. So let me give you an honest feedback. I love doing this podcast with you because I learned a lot of stuff from you and with you. And you have provided me some, besides a lot of value, you have provided me some insight that I haven't thought about it, even though I'm, a little bit younger than you and have as many years as working as you. So that's my honest feedback, man.
Thank you very much. And as a humane leader, I accept that feedback and will reflect on it. I appreciate it very much that you took the time to say that.
My pleasure. Well, great. So I think with this, maybe we could end this episode.
Absolutely. And we'll talk again soon.